This is Passepartout, People and Places, brought to you by Jules Verne, taking you around the world, sharing memories and introducing you to the people at the heart of everything we do. I'm Abby, and in this series I'll be delving into past adventures, inside stories, future journeys, inspiring you to discover the wonders of the world. Hello listeners, and today I am delighted to be joined by Beate, who is our guide in Sicily. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Abby. I'm fine. I'm in sunny Sicily and everything is perfect.
This is amazing. So I'm in London, which is not as sunny, and you're in sunny Sicily, and we're speaking and recording a podcast. Technology is amazing, isn't it?
Technology is fantastic. Yeah, it helps a lot.
It does. So first of all, introduce yourselves to our listeners. You know, we know that you're a guide. I have spoken about you before because you've won awards for being a worldwide amazing best guide.
Oh, mama.
So talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you started guiding for, you know, not only Jules Verne, but other members of the Curoni family too.
Maybe people have guessed usually immediately from my accent that I'm not originally Italian. So I was born in Germany many, many years ago. But, you know, the love for Italy was always in my family. So as soon as I finished school, I went straight away down to Italy. And so I lived for a while in the center of Italy, in the Gulf of Naples, and also I married a man from Sorrento. And then in the end, I landed in Sicily. And now it's about 30 years at least that I'm doing here, the guide in Sicily. And I really love the country. And so that is my final destination in this sense.
And 30 years,
Yes.
and you still haven't lost your accent.
No, you never lose that, unfortunately. We try, even in Italian, it's a little bit better, but you always detect that I'm not completely local. But naturally, it gets less with the years, yeah.
So why is Sicily, as you say, your final destination? Why is that the place you've decided to live the rest of your life? And also, you've started a family. You have a family in Sicily.
Oh, sure is. Even if my son, I have two sons, and they are both at the moment away from Sicily. They are somewhere between Bologna and Canada. But anyhow, no, for me, Sicily is always an amazing country because it's so various. It's really like a small continent on its own in terms of landscape, in terms of people, history, architecture, food. So in a small island, you can immediately detect if you're in the west or the east because, you know, the food is different. And so it's really like a miniature continent in the middle of the Mediterranean with all the influences from all around. And it's really a lovely place. I adore it. Never get bored.
It is. I was very lucky to come visit with you in 2019, wasn't I? So, yeah, and food was such a big thing. We had so much different food, a lot of street food, but a lot of good restaurant food. So what is the difference between the two sides of the food then? Because actually the food is very different to mainland Italy itself.
Yes. Italy in general is a very regional country. So every region has its own character, its own food, and also Sicily. But within the island, we can still see also differences because the western part of the island is much more influenced by North Africa, by the Arab culture. And so that means we have typical dishes like, for example, the couscous, that you wouldn't maybe expect from Italy, where everybody likes to have its plate of pasta. And no, couscous is a typical thing. And the Arabs have introduced such a great number of new food items that you can all still detect in this part of the kitchen. While the kitchen here in the eastern side, where usually I live in the area of Taormina, that is certainly more Italian style. We have the pasta, and the pasta is always an important theme in Sicily, growing the wheat. Here we grow the wheat, the durum wheat, which is used for the pasta. So we grow it directly in front of the doors because we don't have spaghetti trees. Yeah, I don't know. But I know there was a nice BBC joke in for the spaghetti going trees. No, but no. It's really a lovely variety of kitchen. Fish naturally is important, and great if you have been to the markets, colorful street markets, with all those lovely sounds of the voices of the sellers and the colors with our purple cauliflower and all the green. And so, there we have a really wide range of food and vegetables and whatever. Yeah, so it's a nice choice and very rich.
It's a real infusion, isn't it? It's got like lots of mixes of different cultures, as you said.
Exactly. Often people, when they come, they say, "Oh, we didn't expect this," because the image that the island maybe has in the public is very one direction. Yeah, so it's not many people that know about the great variety you can find here. So at a certain point, it turns also to our advantage, because when people, if they come and say, and they are sort of overwhelmed and say, "Oh, we didn't expect all this," yeah, so it's also good for us. But naturally, we need to, promote Sicily better in order to sell it also better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think people might necessarily think, it's we need to go in the summer, but that's not true. I mean, I came out in December, didn't I? And we went to the Christmas markets as well as the normal markets, and we had the Christmas carols going on in the background. We had, the mulled wine. It was wonderful. But what we also got to do is we climbed Mount Etna, and that was an experience in itself.
With the snow cap.
We did. So tell our listeners a little bit about what you can do in Sicily. So obviously, let's start with Mount Etna, but what else can we do?
Yeah, well, Mount Etna naturally is one of the highlights that many people like to see, because the volcano at the moment, I can see it from my terrace window here, and there is a small eruption going on. And so most people think that, oh God, an eruption is going on, so let's escape. No, in reality, it's a nice show usually. Because Mount Etna is considered a friendly volcano. Yeah? So it's not one of the evil characters. And at the moment, it's at least 2 months that we can see this lava flow running down the slopes at the moment, with the snow right next to it. Yeah, so we have snow and lava at the same time. And so naturally, that makes a big point of interest. And it's a good, either for hiking, for sports, for just having a look there and enjoying the volcanic scenery. So it's really an important part of our program. It's one of the highest mountains in the Mediterranean. So we're over 11,000 feet. And so it's also a fantastic panoramic point. But naturally, it's not. It's only a part of Sicily, and it's even not. The rest of Sicily is not volcanic, because people always think that maybe the entire island is volcanic, but it's only Mount Etna in reality that has these volcanic origins. And so from there, we can move to the further south of Sicily, where, for example, the landscape changes completely down there. We have. Sometimes I've been there now a couple of days ago, with the very green meadows and the dry stone walls that are typical for Ireland. It seemed at a moment to be an island. And so winter, you're right, is a beautiful moment in reality, sometimes much better than the summer, because everything's very green. We have the orchids on the fields, and it's lovely. So I like also the post and pre-season tours, maybe more than the high season tours, because you can enjoy everything much more calm. There are no queues at the desks. Everything's empty. You can enjoy the sights on your own. And as I said, the sun is shining. We're having about 18 degrees at the moment. And so my last swim was in the end of November. And so it's really, there's no reason to skip Sicily in the outside the main season, yeah, because normally nowadays the main season is always, between April and October. But often it's also very hot in the summer, and so people maybe they think, oh, now to do the temples with 30 degrees. No, you'd come in November or in February or March, and you can enjoy much nicer. Especially the spring is beautiful because of the almond blossoms. Yeah, so when our first group will be now in March. And we're going to see the Valley of the Temples covered with white almond blossoms. And it's a lovely moment in reality.
It's just stunning. I think people don't necessarily think as well, temples in Sicily, but actually, like you said, they're wonderful to see all year round. But,
Yes.
so what is the history behind this? Because I think, again, like I said, people don't think about temples in Sicily. They think of Rome and other places, but, it's wonderful.
Now, Sicily has an extremely rich history because it is right in the center of the Mediterranean. If you look to a map, we are sort of stepping stone between east and west, between north and south. And so when in the past, the Mediterranean has been the center of the world, especially before America was discovered on the other side of the Atlantic. And so all the great powers, be it the Romans, the Persians, the Egyptians, whatever, it was all around the Mediterranean. And so it was a crossway to reach all countries. And it was an extremely important spot to be right in the middle of the Mediterranean. And so Sicily has had in its past at least 13 different owners, rulers from North Africa, from Spain, from Greece, from Rome, from Germany even. Yeah, we have belonged for 13 years even to Austria. It takes our customers usually quite a while to understand who ruled when and where and why. During a tour, we try to get a bit of order in that mixture. But naturally, all these different rulers have brought different architecture. They have brought different, also the food, because they did not leave only stones. They left all their food habits, like the Arabs or the Spanish. Yeah, you can never imagine Italian food without tomatoes. And the tomatoes come from Central America. They were brought here by the Spanish, after the discovering of America. And so all the rulers brought in the food and the temples. And so we start in history actually 5,000 years before Christ with paintings in caverns from the Paleolithic age. We have Phoenician settlements that we see in our 2 weeks tour, for example. We have the Greek temples, because 500 years Sicily belonged to Greece. And we have also Roman architecture, like the Villa Romana del Casale, which really stunning mosaic pavements that illustrate the wealth and the lifestyle of the Roman age. We have the Middle Ages you can see this very well in Palermo, where we have the Norman architecture. The Normans did not only come to England, but they also came to Sicily. Actually, they came some year earlier to Sicily than to England in 1061. And so also there is a fusion, because the Normans, when they came, they found an Arab country. They found a country where Muslims lived and where Arab was spoken, and they integrated their particular art very much with what they found. Yeah, so their Christian churches were built by Arab workforce. And so they have this very unique fusion. So one of the most unique styles we can find in Sicily is certainly the Arab Norman art, which is also UNESCO heritage. You can have really about nearly 3,000 years uninterrupted signs of history.
So you've got nearly 3,000 years of history in a 1 or 2 week tour of Sicily. Yes. And you see all of this
Poor
stuff.
Customers.
You go home very well educated, but also with some fantastic memories and photos.
Oh, sure.
And it's, like you said, the different points of the year just give you so many different views. So Sicily has got a number of things that it's famous for. One of the things that I remember is all the stories we kept hearing about the gangsters.
Oh, sure.
So do you find that people come ready to hear all these, old-fashioned tales of gangsters in their cars and all of this, and then come away learning so much more because Sicily has so much more to offer?
Yes, I think so. At least that's what we try to get through, the message that, okay, that's an interesting part. Naturally, we always talk about the history of mafia. That is clear. You need to know what it's all about. But people also realize that in the daily life, you don't feel much about that. Yeah. So it's not, some people come also with the idea that they have to be afraid, you have to keep their bags strong. And so in reality, then they feel much more relaxed after leaving, and they maybe understand a little bit better the origin of this phenomenon.
As you said, and we can hear on this episode, you are such an amazing ambassador for Sicily, and you know so much. For you, as being a tour guide, what would you say is the number one benefit of having a tour guide on your holiday, even if it's just for a day or a week? You know, what would you say to our listeners is the best thing about that?
Well, I think when you have a tour guide and you do a guided visit, you get the information together with the place you're staying in. So usually if you want to remember something, listening and watching at the same time is always good. And so that otherwise you have to read all this stuff if you are interested to know things. And I think a good tour guide should make things also entertaining, because while a book is maybe quite dry, sometimes you're not on the school bench, you're still on holidays, right? And so some anecdote about local things, to know the plants on the right and what flower is there, or what food is typical for here, or what is. So it's the knowledge about the entire country, not reduced to maybe monuments or something, but you should give people a general idea about the country, about the people, about the vegetation, about the landscape and geography, and so on, and all together possibly. The difference to something, can also go to a site and have an audio guide, but you can't ask questions. Yeah, you cannot, you have somebody to dialogue with, to have a conversation, to ask for the information you want to know. Yeah, while, if you have something automatic or read a book, that is a standard information, while if you have a person with you, you can always ask your personal interest things.
Where's your favorite part of Sicily? Where's your favorite place to take your customers?
Oh, that is difficult. Yeah, that is difficult. Actually, I live in Taormina, and often people are really enthusiastic about Taormina, and certainly for spending some days of holidays, it's a nice place. But in reality, I like a little more the hidden places, no? So the less obvious places. And even Mount Etna, there are so many different things to show. Maybe most of the people go the standard to the main station, but there are so many sides you can show, also less known places, or combine it also with the food. And so, no, I love Mount Etna very much, because it's really a great variety of things you can do there. Even in my spare time, in my free time, I often go there and for hiking or with the dogs or whatever. In the summer, it's lovely to go into the fresh air. But I also like very much the West Coast with the salt pans, and it's a special atmosphere there with the sunsets. Here on the East Coast, we lack sunsets because we have the mountains, and so the sunsets early, beautiful sunrises, but the most lovely sunsets we have on the West Coast. Yeah. On where the salt pans are.
So with Mount Etna, I think, like you said, there's so much to do, and probably the fact that it is an active volcano sometimes might put people off. And I think they're probably sitting there in their mind going, oh, but it's a volcano, I need to stay away. But like you said, you can ski, you can hike, but you can also take the snowcat up, can't you? You don't have to hike it. So I always say to people, oh, well, when I was in Sicily, we climbed Mount Etna. In reality, we took a snowcat up quite a lot of the way, and then we walked around the ridge, didn't we? And I remember the wind was howling, you've got the snow crunching between under our feet, and I was standing on the top thinking, I'm on a volcano. This is huge. This is amazing. So do you think that's often a highlight of people's trips as well?
In the winter, this is special because you have the snowcat and you can really reach the higher level. Then during the summer, we just have those, four-wheel driven trucks, the super trucks that go up there until a certain level, because in these times it has always been active. So we were allowed only at a certain distance to watch. And actually that changes every time you come there. It depends always on the moment, how the lava is proceeding, or if there is something going on. But otherwise we can reach nearly the southeast crater, and so you can see the smoke coming out and smell the sulfur. And so it's impressive also because you're really at the highest point in the Mediterranean there. It's really high up. You start maybe at 30 degrees on the coast, and you come up there a little bit chilly, and you're 3,000 meters or higher than you started. Yeah, so it's already on alpine level, and you can cover it in a little more than an hour.
Gosh,
So it's an impressive landscape for sure.
It really is. And like you said, having a guide to take you around and take you to the best parts where you can see the best view of the lava, or you can see, you can have your best photos and things like that. I think that's really important as well. But you've not only been a guide in just Sicily, have you? You've done guiding elsewhere. Am I right?
Yes, before coming to Sicily, I've lived a while on the Gulf of Naples and on the island of Ischia. And I've been also shortly to Apulia, to the heel of Italy, which is also a not very well-known area, but very interesting too. So I've lived also in the north, but the guiding part is more in southern Italy. And so
we've talked about the wonders of Sicily and how amazing Sicily is, but I asked this question to everybody on our podcast, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. But outside of Sicily and mainland Italy, where in the world has captured your heart the most, and why?
Outside Italy, oh yeah, that's a bit difficult to say. But I also, maybe because it's similar, I love Spain also.
Yeah.
And because my uncle is also married with a Spanish woman, and so we have.
And you feel like you have a connection to Spain because of your family, and
yes, also, yeah. So I think it's always is nice where you have a personal connection. I've enjoyed very much Morocco, for example. Yeah, that's also an interesting country. But for to live, I would always choose Italy. There's nothing, no alternative to that.
I love that. And you would know, you've traveled, like I said, you've traveled and guided all over. So if you're saying Sicily's number one, then I think we all have to bow down to that you are the fountain of all knowledge. Thank you so much. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, and I know many of our customers, I really want to say thank you for being a guide for us at Jules Verne. I know that you're very sought after, and like we've said, you have won awards for being sort of an international guide and woman guide of the year. So we're really, really proud to have you part of the Jules Verne family, and I hope to see you again in Sicily really soon.
Oh, I hope you will come to see us. Yes. You have been only once, so there's still a lot to discover, and so we're always waiting for you and for all Jules Verne customers to come back.
That's the message, isn't it? One visit to Sicily is not enough.
Yes, that's why you have more tours in order to be always able to come back.
Beate, thank you so much for your time today. I will let you go enjoy your afternoon. No, I will let you go enjoy your time with your dogs, looking at Mount Etna from your window. And thank you so much. We've really enjoyed this episode.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you very much. See you back here in Sicily.
Definitely. We hope you've enjoyed the latest episode of Passepartout People and Places. Look out for our next episode, where we'll be talking to more guests about the people and places that have inspired them the most. We'd love to hear your feedback, so please do get in touch. Thanks for listening.